You're now listening to the Zod and Drea podcast.
What's up, people?
Welcome, everybody.
Welcome back to the Zod and Drea podcast.
And another podcast, number 62, right?
This is number 62. Like, we're on the map. Like, we're there.
Man.
62 episodes,
Who
62.
Who would have thought?
Like, who would have thought? We'd keep going. Well, we have not run out of energy, and obviously the news in the last week or so has energized us even more.
Energized us, shocked us a little bit, but then we got over that and got into action.
Yeah, because, I mean, let's face it, for a lot of us, certain things don't shock us as much, so it is what it is, and it's pretty much expected, but, you know, going into what we are going to be going into, I'd say, you know, par for the course, but, you know, we'll always triumph, so it is what it is, so let's, I guess start talking about, you know, what we're going to be getting into.
All right. Well, so on the relationship front, we're going to talk about women who love their white supremacist men.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's so sexy.
It's so sexy. I mean, you got to think about this. All those guys that you do see, and we're going to be discussing what happened at Charlottesville, Virginia, on this episode. But know that they're not all just, you know, eunuch virgins. A lot of those guys are going back home to women who support everything that they've done and were raised by women who support everything that they've done.
And those women are raising their children.
Exactly.
So
it's going to be continuing on. Next up, we're going to be talking the movie Annabelle Creation.
Ooh, that was so
good.
good.
So we're going to talk about that and how it compares to the other Annabelle as well as the Conjuring movie.
And I want to apologize to everyone that was in the theater with us. Look,
oh my God,
I warned you. I would be screaming. I would be shouting. I am that girl.
Yeah. And it wasn't that bad. It had a little creepy, couple creepy factors, but
I had to close my eyes for a few.
The Conjuring was way creepier, but no, Annabelle was doing her thing. Do it, Annabelle.
Annabelle. All right, and our topic for today.
Our main topic that we're going to be discussing is 5 reasons Trump supporters defend white supremacy. So yeah, I'm sorry, but hey, if you voted for the guy, there's a very good chance, and especially if you still support him now, that you are supporting white supremacy in this country.
So we're going to talk about it. We're just going to call it out as it is and discuss it.
All right, cool. So let's get into it. Let's talk entertainment first.
Yeah, let's get on a little fun note. Okay,
right.
Okay. So give some background about Annabelle because it confused me a little bit because I get it mixed up with the Conjuring stories.
You get it mixed up with Chucky.
Any doll that is possessed or even tries to freak me out, I just want to punch in the throat. Okay?
All right. So here's what it is if you haven't caught up. And you can also read the review that I had written on Annabelle Creation on the Zod and Drea website. But if you haven't seen the movie The Conjuring, which is James Wan, Wan, but he's not Mexican. James Wan.
Oh, no, that was bad.
Yeah, you were thinking it too. He was Mexican. No, Trump. That's going to be my thing. He's like, no Trump, but he sounded like... So, James Wan, who is Asian, but he's one of the like leading horror guys, I think, right now, who's putting it on the big screen. And, you know, I think he had helped develop the Saw movies, and I mean, this guy's really.
Oh, really?
I believe so. He's really creative, but he came out with Annabelle Creation this time around, and he was just a producer on this. He didn't direct it like he did on The Conjuring. Now, The Conjuring is based on Ed and Lorraine Warren, and their findings, they're really
it's a true life couple, right?
Yeah, true life couple, like ghost hunters, sort of, but. There really is an Annabelle doll. It's just she's a Raggedy Ann, and she's not the creepy one that we see here. So in The Conjuring, they talk about the Annabelle doll and the spirit, you know, that's in the house and everything. But it's weird. Because I had to watch The Conjuring again. They kind of connected to, but not really. They talk about Annabelle in the beginning, just more as an introduction to the Warrens.
Look.
That's what was so cool about it.
I barely remember The Conjuring because I was with my sister watching it at her house, and I just remember screaming my head off. I freaked me out. Okay, we're both Catholic schoolgirls, so everything that we were taught not to do and to be scared of, did it. It freaked me out. I'm so traumatized.
I gotta give it to them because I watched it again about 2 days ago. I'm not like I've been watching horror movies since I was like 8, so I'm not like they don't scare me, and that's all I really watch. A lot of our horror movies. That movie was creepy.
But you're more into like gore, like.
No, I'm into horror, like just the whole genre. I watch the gore stuff because it's funny stuff, but the like I don't jump. I don't jump at movies. I never jump. What happens if you ever see me? If you ever feel me, I get goosebumps. If it's a good creepy scene, not so much the scare, but
the like this.
I get goosebumps. I'm like, ooh, that was good, because the direction, the way everything was shot. Well, anyway, to move on, The Conjuring. After The Conjuring came Annabelle, the movie, which was about the doll itself. Which the doll isn't necessarily that scary in itself, where it's just there's a spirit. In the movie, there's a spirit that attaches to it, and that's what the Warrens cling onto. But what's so cool about the Annabelle movies and The Conjuring is they connect each other. They connect to each other. So the Conjuring was the more recent one in like 1973 or something like. But then the Annabelle movie steps back a few years. It steps back a few years to see how Annabelle came into the lives of these people. But then Creation, which is what we're talking about now, starts even before that. So it's like 12 years before that. So basically, a man who's a doll maker created Annabelle. She's supposed to be 1 out of 100, and they went to church, and life is good till his tire blew out. His daughter,
loving family, right?
Loving family, cute daughter, the whole 9 yards, until the daughter jumps out in front of traffic and gets hit by a car. So she's dead. They forward 12 years from that point, which leads us to them opening up their house. I guess that's an orphanage almost for some wayward girls.
To foster wayward girls.
But it seems like they must have had trouble with the doll. His doll that he had created, his Annabelle doll a while back, because they got it stuffed in a closet with a whole bunch of Bible pages stuck on it. And of course, when you get a whole bunch of nosy girls who want to check everything out, and things that you say don't go in there, they go in.
But it wasn't their fault. That door was open. That demon knew that it had kids.
Doesn't matter. What did he say? He said, "Do not go in there."
But it was.
She should have gone to bed.
Open. I don't care. That doll is ugly. It is possessed. It is evil.
Yeah. But what did she do?
No.
Yeah. It's her fault.
I mean, it's telling her to open up the door.
And she did. She shouldn't have. She was like 12 years old. Should have known better. So anyway, go see Annabelle Creation. Go see Annabelle before it, and make sure you see The Conjuring before that, because it's a good series. I like it. I don't care. I like it.
It was good.
All right, now we're going to turn our attention over to what has been going on in the last couple of days, and we're going to go even back further than that on what conjured it for the main topic. But this one is touching on women who back up their white supremacist men.
And you thought this was a good topic to talk about in our relationship segment, because it looks at the relationship that the women have then with these men. So of course we see these images of these men on a Friday night with their tikis lit up and in front of this statue, right? And chanting hateful things.
Oh man, they were going off chanting. Hate.
So you see the images of these men around, but yet in the background you see these women too, right there, loving their men, supporting them, holding on to the tikis too. So then we decided, let's dig into this a little bit, and did some research and started to really look at that type of dynamic and those kinds of households that support this type of ideology, and a lot of it is based on what is carried through the women, correct?
Like
the mothers almost.
I mean, think about it. You got all these racist boys that, like you said, they were dressed like Donald Trump going golfing. With their stupid little Walmart tiki torches, thinking they're doing something. Like they were literally thinking that they were doing something that was like intimidating on a closed college campus at night. Most of the focus in the photos were these white guys yelling, white lives matter, white lives matter. Like, no shit. Like, when did white lives in this country not matter? It's like, and then you're preaching to the choir. Then you're talking and yelling in a suburb like trying to show force because you're rallying around people who want to take down Confederate, okay?
Right.
A Confederate statue in Charlottesville, Virginia. Now, if you think about this, the Confederacy was trying to secede from the Union. So we're talking about the Union being the United States, like the Union. Confederacy was like, no, we don't want to be a part of you. Which means they were really traitors. So these are people, the Confederacy it's a traitors. It's nothing to be proud of. You know, you're not part of the United States. You can't be a Confederate and be a proud American patriot. It's impossible to merge the two, which means that anybody who's fighting for these stupid, Confederate soldiers and whatever they mean, you are also a traitor. And who backs those traitors? These men aren't all virgins. Like, they aren't. They were backing, they had women that they went back to. Like someone said, you're going back home to cuddles and hugs. They had women who supported them. They had women who raised them and taught them what to believe in.
For generations. And that's what people need to understand. This is not just a one-time deal. This is generationally deep.
53% of women voted for Donald Trump. White women, I should say. 53% of white women voted for Donald Trump. This is after another white woman who was, running for president. Whether she was good or not, she was somebody who didn't grab pussy. She's someone who didn't sneak in on, people while they were dressing at pageants.
Dedicated her entire career to government and public service.
She didn't focus on women as sexual objects. She didn't marry 3 women and have kids with them every time there was an immigrant. So, I mean, think about this.
She actually stood by her man when he was unfaithful, and however you may view that. But again, like you said, she wasn't philandering around town.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was comparing the women that, anyway. The whole thing with him is the women backed a man who did all of this. So it's like, who do you see yourself as? People wind up being, voting for a lot of people that they can relate to. White women did that. So with Donald Trump and all of his rhetoric that he's been speaking, that we're going to speak about soon, he had a white base, a white female base that was like, I'm voting for this guy regardless. And most likely, I bet I can do some research on it, it was also because they wanted to vote for who their man voted for, which was someone who was more like them than Hillary Clinton was. So when you're sitting there and you see all these white guys who are like sitting there storming, you're like, oh, these guys are virgin. No. These guys have women, and the women who back them are racist, and they are raising racist children.
And keep in mind, these women aren't going to have shaved heads and tattoos of swastikas on their cheeks. They're going to look like your next door neighbor who is on your school board making cookies every week for the classroom. Look at them and really call them out for who they are.
Please listen carefully.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Zod.
And I'm Drea.
And we want you to check out the Zod and Drea podcast every Tuesday.
Where can everybody find us at?
You can always check us out on www.zodanddrea.com.
Where else?
You can always check us out also on Facebook at Zod and Drea.
Instagram?
Zod and Drea.
Snapchat?
Zod and Drea.
YouTube?
Zod and Drea.
I see a pattern.
So if you haven't caught that, catch us at Zod and Drea on all the social networks. But also, make sure you subscribe to the Zod and Drea podcast. Where?
At zodanddrea.com.
And also on YouTube and iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. We're coming for you.
Let us know what you think. And if you want to be a guest, reach out to us.
And put all of your input into whatever our topics are for the week. So we hope to check you out and see you there.
Bye!
And we're back. Let's continue on to this subject again.
Okay, so here we are. We are going to now be discussing, I know this time's going to go fast, but listen and bear with us, and we want your opinions on this as well. But this is Zod and Drea's 5 reasons Trump supporters defend white supremacy. Okay, so we came up with a list of 5 reasons. Obviously, it's on the website, but we're going to talk about it right now. So let's talk about number 1. They hate anything with Obama's name attached to it. So we're talking about Trump voters.
So let's say, what's an example?
Oh, easy.
Yeah, obvious example.
Obamacare.
Yeah.
So Obamacare has been, the law of the land for a while. And I mean, let's face it, as soon as the man got into office, Mitch McConnell, a whole bunch of other people wanted to try to do everything they can to derail him. but especially his landmark health bill that, they've been trying forever, but he got it pushed through. Donald Trump is now in office, and one of the things he ran on was to repeal and replace the failing Obamacare, blah, blah, blah. So...
And he campaigned that it was going to be so simple to do, right?
That it was going to be simple to do, so simple to
easy.
do. Well, the Trump voters that are now still in his base, that's why we switched it. So the Trump supporters that are now in his base still want to replace Obamacare with nothing in its place. So they're just replace it, forget the repeal, and to where they almost did if it wasn't for John McCain, switching at that last second.
And the other two women.
The other two women, Murkowski and Collins, who had already stayed on course. They would have replaced it and thrown 22-something million people off of. Now, who does this hurt? Number one, it's going to hurt the poor white. So the poor whites who are trying to cheer them on and voting aren't thinking about themselves when they do this. They are trying to do everything like Donald Trump to dismantle and remove the name Obama from everything that he has ever accomplished as a president. So they're trying to eliminate his presidency. Everything that Obama has done, they all of a sudden everybody hates. Like they all hate it now. And these are his hardcore supporters. You can always go to Donald J. Trump's whatever Twitter feed and see what they say, because I'm not just making this up. So anything with Obama. So Obama got his trade deals, the Paris Accords.
And look at what Michelle tried to create then when it came to healthy food in schools and kids exercising.
They literally do not like that. Now, if Melania Trump or Ivanka Trump had come up with something like that, it would be the greatest thing since sliced bread. It just would to them. They're upholding and defending white supremacy by ignoring the accomplishments of a black man due to his skin color, not because of what he had done, because none of that stuff affected them. It didn't affect their wallets. They're like, I don't want my taxpayer money going into having to pay for everybody else's insurance who's blah, blah, blah. Meanwhile, these people don't have insurance. They get sick. They got to go to the hospital, and they're either online filling out a GoFundMe, which, they probably don't have a computer, or they're sitting there on welfare collecting. I mean, it's amazing how many people are on welfare in these red states who are Trump voters.
Or let's look at these red states that are now part of the opioid problem,
which we spoke about last week.
Right, and how many of them depend on the ACA to help with their rehabilitation services.
Until they find out that it's called Obamacare. Then all of a sudden they don't like it. Okay, let's get on to number 2.
We can talk about
I know,
this
like this is crazy, and we're going to run out.
All right, number 2 is... when domestic terrorists are white, they are silent to respond and label them as mentally disturbed. I mean, we can go back even before this administration when we had some of the Republican Party members talk about some of the offenders. But let's look at just what happened as recently as, I lose track in this past 6 months of all the disturbing acts that have happened. But again, the minute that they look white, it's we're not going to label them as a terrorist.
Let's wait till all the facts come in first. Maybe his upbringing. Then of course the news reports that they post. Oh man, it's like, let's get his Facebook page where he was like just such a nice good boy and all this.
Right. Talk to his teachers.
Yeah, not his mugshot. He was such a good, this is something that's actually the news has printed. They've compared these, how they make the white extremists look so good, to where they're defending white supremacy. So
almost like, no, this couldn't have happened. This could not have happened.
But, when it's somebody who's Islamic who does something terroristic, it's quick. And Donald Trump is quick to say Islamic terrorism, extreme Islamic terrorism. And he also got on Obama's case for not saying those words. He got on his case for saying those words. Yet, when it was time for, after all of this happened, for the Charlottesville killing, which was really a murder to me, when the white supremacists ran into a crowd of people killing that poor woman, what was her name, Heather? God, I should have looked her name up. But when they wound up killing her, he did not step up to denounce neo-Nazis, white supremacists, white extremists. If this was a Muslim who did this, how quickly would Donald Trump yell that? Let me give you a report on something. From Newsweek, it says, a joint project by the Investigative Fund at the Nation Institute, a nonprofit media center, and revealed from the Center of Investigative Reporting has found that within the past 9 years, right-wing extremists plotted or carried out nearly twice as many terrorist attacks as Islamic extremists. Twice as many. This is in this country. Of the 115 right-wing incidents, police only foiled 35%. Compared this to the 63 Islamic terrorism cases where police foiled 76%. So right-wing extremists were only more successful, they were more deadly too.
Mm-hmm.
So they are more terroristic, yet Donald Trump will not say them by name, which means the white extremists love that. They love the fact that he didn't.
And they proved it. They kept tweeting and kept posting that, oh, look, Donald Trump didn't call us out. He likes us. He didn't say anything wrong about what we're doing. Like, they loved it. And it just feeds more and more into their propaganda.
David Duke.
Oh God, this guy.
Yeah, so David Duke had actually said at a rally, "This represents a turning point for the people of this country. We are determined to take our country back." I don't know what that means. "We are going to fulfill the promises of Donald Trump, and that's what we believed in. That's why we voted for Donald Trump, because he said he's going to take our country back."
That was on Friday night. Did he say that?
Yeah, Saturday, I believe.
Oh, it was Saturday?
Yeah, I think it was Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump, because all he said was, "We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious, oh God, I hate this word, egregious, I'm such a dick. We condemn in the strongest possible terms this egregious display of hatred, bigotry, and violence on many sides." He said, on many sides. Many sides. We're talking about a woman who got murdered, who was fighting against white supremacy. Do you think that if this was an Islamic terrorist, he would say both sides were in the wrong?
Mm-hmm.
He had to come out and say it again today, which obviously left a bad taste, a sour taste in white supremacists' mouths. But anyway, let's go on to number 3.
So number 3, we're going to talk about immigration, because let's just say this. I mean, the majority of his campaign was based on immigration, right? But what we wanted to just tap into was about really the immigrant population is growing, and white deaths are outnumbering, if you will, white births. So this feeds into everything that all of his campaign was based on when it came to immigrants, right? He called Mexicans lazy, rapists, thugs. He called Muslims names. I mean, immediately in his campaign, addressed that he wanted to build this beautiful big wall to limit immigration, and that Mexico was going to pay for it. Well, let's fast forward to it now. Who's paying for it? Us. We're now paying for this stupid wall, and Mexico ain't gonna do a damn thing. I mean, come on. How stupid were these voters thinking that really you were gonna have another country pay for something that was gonna be this stupid? But it built and built up again on this nationalism that Trump was creating because of who supports him at his base of keeping it a white America.
And those who voted, those who support him, I should say, they're upholding this white supremacy. As much as they say, no, we're not racist or whatever, you're defending racists. And that's what you're doing. People who say, oh, you know what, Mexico is a problem. No, they aren't. The thing is, number one, when you're an illegal immigrant in this country, the last thing you want to do is call the cops about anything, which means you don't get into that much trouble. I think it's like 1.3% or something like that of illegal immigrants. There's not a big thing. So as soon as one kills somebody, all of a sudden you have Kate's Law. Not to take anything away from her death, but one woman gets killed, and all of a sudden, man, we're going to pass a law about illegal immigrants, and if this is what happens to you. Yet, how many Americans wind up killing other Americans due to gun laws, and nothing is done? Every day. Is done. So with the immigration population growing, and white deaths are outnumbering birth, this is something that is true. White people are not living as quickly as they're dying. So I forgot what year it is, but in some year in the future, like, they're going to wind up being a minority because they're not reproducing as much. So other people, they're going to be a minority.
And everyone's going to be a beautiful color of melanin.
Yeah, good luck. So basically, it doesn't matter if you're a white supremacist or you're supporting him as a Trump supporter, you're going to fail.
So majority of his policies that he was running on, had this underline of anti-immigration. I don't care if it was just be tough on immigration, be tough on this, be tough on that. You just want to keep this country white.
All right, let's go. Number 4 is they blame race relations on Obama and Black Lives Matter. if you've ever noticed, go on Twitter, go on Facebook, look at what white people say in response to everything from, I mean, we are talking about a white supremacist who got in his car, smashed up a group of protesters, backed up and tried to take off and flee. He got caught, okay? This guy got caught. He's a little punk, what's his name? James Alex Fields Jr. of Maumee, Ohio. So this guy's going to be going away. I hope he goes to jail and he's going to learn about the Black Guerrilla family. But he goes around killing these people, and if you look at the interviews or you look at people on Facebook, what do they say? They say this is Obama's fault and Black Lives Matter's fault.
How? How is this their fault?
And then, like I said, it's like, oh, Black Lives Matter, they must have had their foot on the wheel, and then, Obama, he was steering. Mm-hmm. Then, what was the white supremacist guy doing in the seat? Like, how did he get there?
Poor
I guess he was
victim.
like, wow, what a
Oh,
victim.
no.
And this is what this feeds into the white supremacy of the country. Like, no, you're not a victim, and you're so ridiculous on wanting to be one that you actually create a victimhood about yourself by blaming someone who hasn't been in office for over 6 months and a movement that wants to stop police brutality. Mm-hmm. So, and also don't try and say that, oh, Black Lives Matter kills cops. No, they don't. Okay, it's a movement. It's not, they don't pay dues. They don't do any of that stuff. It's a movement that people can say, hey, I'm a part of Black Lives Matter. And if you notice, it's way more diverse than the alt-right or the Unite the White or whatever the hell these guys with tiki torches running around at night in the suburbs do. But anyway, that's just number 4, one of the reasons. Let's get to the 5th one.
Last one, they blame political correctness for their own failures.
They do. These people think that political correctness is the end-all, meaning manners. Instead of calling someone a nigger, you call them a black person or an African-American. Oh, that's political correct. Instead of telling women that they're bitches, you say hello, ma'am, or hello, miss. If there's somebody who is trans, you say, hey, hello, whatever name that they want to go by or whatever pronoun, he, she, it doesn't matter. If somebody is non-binary, then you go by them. It's pretty easy. You just have to have manners on what to do, but they find that this is just absolutely ridiculous because they don't live those lives.
Right. And why are you limiting me now? Oh, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, so they find that being politically correct and actually speaking with manners and treating somebody with respect is an attack on whitehood. Mm-hmm. And so they find that Trump, who has stated, political correctness, is like ruining the country, they repeat everything he says. And whether anyone wants to agree, Fox News is state TV. They are state TV, and they are trying to be as fascist as possible. They're trying to be as Kim Jong-un as possible.
That's the propaganda.
They're trying to be as Vladimir Putin as possible. It's like we only broadcast. Trump only goes there. Mm-hmm. He only goes to one station. The Trump family goes to one station. When you see that, when you notice what that is, and they're not going to give anything towards people of color. I mean, he skipped the NAACP meeting. I think it was the NAACP, or was it Urban League? He skipped the meeting. I guess he didn't. Did he even meet with a Congressional Black Caucus? This guy, who these white people wind up following, and thank God there's so many other white people who are opening their eyes to and wanting to fight the fight. I mean, thank God for them, because it is going to take them to drown out all these white supremacists.
Right.
And if these people want to get down, then, we can get down. You won't be able to use your car every single time.
And, it's going to take some sacrifice. It's going to putting yourself on the line and putting your neck on the line. But it needs to happen.
It needs to happen. And anybody out there who stays quiet, anyone who sees all of this wrongdoing, whether you sit there on Twitter and just keep scrolling, on Facebook you keep scrolling and you say nothing when white counterparts say something, but yet to you see a bunch of black people marching for their rights and you see something wrong with that, you are a part of the problem and you are a white supremacist, period.
So,
I told you that would be quick.
That is that. So, like we ask all the time, I think more than ever, and it's so important, especially for this podcast, for this one that we're releasing today. Let us know your feedback. What are your thoughts? Did you attend anything this weekend to be support or anti-support? Whatever it is, let us know what your thoughts are about this.
Make sure you follow us too on ZodAndrea.com. We have everything there that you can follow these podcasts. So make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe on iTunes. Make sure you subscribe on Google Play, Stitcher, and follow us on Facebook. Instagram.
And look for the video that was created then from the event yesterday.
Yes, there was an event yesterday, a Phoenix against hate. So it's PHX against hate. That's the hashtag. Check it out. Look on our page, and you will see the videos of people who spoke. Peace.